Welcome, foolish mortals. Today we are looking at Disney Haunted Mansion, where we're going to be exploring the Haunted Mansion, socializing with ghosts without trying to gain too much haunt. So let's get to the table and check out Disney's Haunted Mansion. Okay, here is the setup for Haunted Mansion. Now we have our player board, the game board with the different locations in the mansion. Up here we're going to have our hitchhiking ghost. I'll explain what they're going to do in a little bit. And then we've got lots of cards out here. I'm just going to kind of jump into this and show you some gameplay, how this is going to work out. Now I have this set up for a 2-player game. I think it plays better at a higher player count. However, it's easier for me to keep up with as we as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the event phase. Now for the event phase, we're going to flip over an event card. This is going to show us, let me throw this up here. This is going to show us how many spaces that we will move the hitchhiking ghost. So they're going to move 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. Now I'll explain what they do a little bit later. Right now at the beginning of the game, they're not going to do very much. Then this says that if you end your turn in the hitchhiking ghost room, move them exactly 2 rooms in either direction, haunting players as usual. That means nothing to you yet, but just know that these event cards, as they come up, they're going to be changing the rules for that round that they come up. Next thing is going to happen is the Grim Grinning Ghost are going to come out and socialize. So we're in a 2-player game, going to add 5 cards to the board. Now this is 3 cards more than the number of players that are going to come out on the board. The first 2 are going to go into the hitchhiking ghost spot. Then we will put the other ones around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's all the ones that go out there. Next thing we're going to do is our action phase. Now each player is going to have this little action reference. Let me just show that, but also I'll explain what all of the different actions that you're allowed to take. But know that you can take up to 3 actions per turn, and then you choose from these actions that are available. First thing you can do is move. You can move just 1 space. You all start off in the seance room where you're not able to really do much in there except discard your haunt cards. That means nothing to you yet, but moving just counts as 1 action space. So 1, 2, 3, each of those counts 1 action space. You can also rotate the endless hallway. Now, if let's say I'm here, red player's here, I can, or even if I'm not there, but let's say I'm there and I want to move all the way over here. Well, I could go 1, 2 to move through to get over here, or I could just spin this around for 1 action, move it as far as you want, and you're going to move in that spot. But just keep in mind, good or bad, everyone is going to move around the endless hallway and end up in a different location. But that only counts 1 action to be able to rotate it as far as you want to go. Next thing you can do is you're going to collect cards. If you collect cards from the room that you're in, you're just going to pick that up and put it in your area. Some of the cards will have different things on there that you'll need to do right away. We're going to play through a little bit of this so you'll be able to see what all that looks like. Then you can dual discard. Now, if you're going to dual, that means you're going to be taking haunt cards. I'll explain that in just a little bit. We're not going to quite see that yet. And then you can discard haunt card 1 time per turn. You can also dual 1 time per turn. If you're in the seance room and you have a haunt card that you want to get rid of, then you would do that there. You can just get rid of 1 card. Now, why do I want to get rid of haunt cards? Haunt cards are these tiny little cards, and they all have different values on them. So 1 to 3, 1, 2, and 3 can be on these cards. And at the end of the game, whoever has the highest value in their haunt cards is going to lose points. You're going to lose the cards from the highest, from the set that you have the most cards in. So it can be really, really detrimental if that happens. Now, that makes sense why you would want to discard those. If you are in a space with another player, let me just go ahead and explain this briefly, the dueling part. So if I'm in the space of another player, once per round, I can take my little dueling dial, and they take theirs, and we're going to put it on a number, and whoever has the highest number is going to take the card that you're trying to take. So let's say I have, the other player has this card and I really want it, I want to take this, then I might put it on a 3, and they don't really care about it, so they might put it on a 0. So what that would mean is they're going to take 0 haunting cards, but they're going to lose the card that they have. they're going to take 3 haunting cards and take this. Now, had they put 1 on here, then they would take the 1 and they would still take the 3 and they would lose that. So you're going to gain those either way, but that's a good way to get cards that you really need, but you can only do that 1 time per turn. I think this is where this was. Now let's go ahead and get started and show what some of these, some of the cards, some of the ghosts that we're going to be gathering will do for us. All right, red player looks out there and they think, wow, it'd be really nice to have these cards, right? They're just 2 cards. All the other spots only have 1. These can be helpful. However, when you take a card from the spot where the hitchhiking ghost is, you're going to gain a haunting card per card that you take. Let's see. So I think red player kind of looks over here. They're just going to take 1 action to move there. This is going to be the musician ghost that they're going to take. Now, 1 of those is only worth 1 point, as you can see, but if you can get 5 of these musician ghosts, then you're going to get 25 points, which is a lot. And so early in the game, I think that's the direction I'm going to go. Now I have 1 more action, and I can pretty much just move. I can't take a card. I can't duel. I'm not in the same spot, and they don't have any cards anyway. So I'm just going to move up here and maybe hope that I'm not going to move too far away and something good will happen for me. Now remember, again, if I end my turn in the hitchhiking ghost room, I can move them exactly 2 rooms. That doesn't really do me any good because they're in the seance room and not in a room, so I wouldn't be able to haunt them as they pass by. Again, that might not make sense now, but it will make sense a little bit later. The yellow player looks and they think, wow, it would be really nice to be able to get these cards. However, they also wouldn't mind hurting the other player. And let me explain what I mean by that. I'm going to move 1 space here, and then I'm going to gather the card that is in this location, okay? This, when I take this card, this says that I'm going to move the hitchhiking ghost 2 rooms when I collect this, okay? So I'm going to move the hitchhiking ghost 2 rooms, and they're going to be in this room, all right? Now, I'm going to move, oh, that doesn't hurt them yet. I did not plan this out. I didn't plan this out very well. Let me change my mind on that. Sorry, let me go back retroactively. I had a plan that did not work. I'm going to say, I don't care. Yellow player's going to say, I don't care what getting ghost cards at the beginning of the game or haunt cards. I don't care about that. I'm just going to do this. So they're going to take these. Again, each time they take 1, they're going to be gaining, I'm just going to kind of put these off to the side. They're going to be gaining 2 haunt cards. Now, they'll be able to discard those later on, but they just thought they want to get points right now, and so they don't mind. Now, they did get a 3 and a 1 haunt card, which is not good, but again, they'll be able to discard those throughout the game before they have to lose points. And that will be their turn. Now, I will, let me show the card that they got. The card that they got here is this portrait and artifact cards. Those are the red ones. If they get 1, they're just going to get 3 points. If they get 2, they'll get 0 points. 3 is 12 points. So they're going to want to have more than that. Now, that's going to be the end of the round. Ending your spot in a place of the hitchhiking ghost is not bad in and of itself. In fact, that's actually kind of good because you're not going to get haunting cards for being in the space. However, when the event happens, if the hitchhiking ghost pass through your space or land in your space, then you're going to get haunt cards if that happens. So that's the end of the round. We're going to pass that first player marker over here to the second player. I'll just play through 1 more round to show you how this plays out. We're going to flip the event card over, and this is going to move the hitchhiking ghost. Again, it's going to go in a, let me show you. It's going to go in a clockwise fashion, going 1, 2, 3. Pause there for just a second. I'll show you what happens there. But this says that if at the end of your turn you're in the seance room, you're going to discard a haunt card, which is really nice. Just ending your turn in the seance room will allow you to discount a haunt card. For the yellow player, they've already got 2. They might want to be able to do that. Now the red player is in this space in the crypt where the hitchhiking ghost landed. If they pass through your space, you're going to gain 1 haunt card. If they land in your space, you're going to do 2 haunt cards, and this is not good for the red player. They're going to take a 3 and a 2 haunt cards pretty high. Again, there's a lot of time in the game. In the game, this is your timer. Once you get through this deck, one of the final 3 cards is the final round card, and that will determine the end of the game. But they're going to get 2. The yellow player has 2. It is the yellow player's turn. But first, what we have to do, again, is put some grinning ghosts out there to socialize. So we're going to put 2 there. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 5 cards like we said. And it's over to the yellow player. Now, the yellow player kind of likes what they see because in their spot was a card that allows them to just straight up draw a ghost card. It's worth 1 point, but then you draw a ghost card from the deck when you collect it, which is really nice for them. That's exactly what they would want to do. So they're going to do that. They're going to draw a ghost card, and look at here. This is good for them. It is a musician ghost. Again, they're trying to get a bunch of those like we mentioned earlier. And wouldn't you know, right next door to them is another one. So they're going to, they've taken 1 action. They've got 2 more. They can either move a space over and take that, or what they might want to do is move this direction because that actually hurts the red player because now they're in a space where there's no cards and they can't just take anything. They could have taken things from here, but now in order to do that, they're going to have to take another action to be able to take cards from there. So yellow player is being a little bit mean. For their last action, they're going to take this. And now, again, this isn't how they're supposed to go. Now they've got 2. And they're on the road to get a little bit more. This is just a jumbled mess over here. Normally have lots of table space over here. I could, I guess, put these out here. There we go. Now it's over to the red player. The red player, ooh, they don't really know what they want to do now. They see the dancing ghost out there. They kind of like that. If you get 0, it's worth no points. But if you get 1, it's worth, 1, it's worth 0 points. 2, it's worth 7 points. They kind of like that, but what they think they might do now is, yeah, let's do this. So they're going to move, they're going to rotate the endless hallway. That's going to be their first action. Second action, they're going to take this card because they think if I can get those dancing ghost cards, that'll be beneficial for me. This is just going to be 1 point at the end of the game, but 2 for each of those dancing cards that we just saw. So they're kind of eyeing the board and thinking maybe I can get more sets of those. They are really falling behind on how many cards they're getting. However, they are going to be able to discard. If they end their turn, again, in the Seance Room, which they will, then they're going to discard a Haunt card. They're going to get rid of that 3 Haunt card that they have. Now they only have 1, probably putting them in a better position of the second player. Now that's going to be the game how it plays out. Again, once you play through the final round card, once that card flips up, which is actually this one, you're going to play through that final round, but you're going to put that last round 3 extra ghost cards out there. So you're going to have more of an opportunity to be able to collect ghosts. And then once that wraps up, then you're going to add up your score. Now, let's say this was the end that all the cards that I had at the very end of the game. If I had the most, if the yellow had the most Haunt cards, which are total, they've got a total of 4. The red player has a total of 2. So they're going to have to discard the most cards of one set. The set that has the most cards in it, they're going to have to just discard that and lose those points, which is why the Haunt cards become so important in this game. I will talk about that in a little bit in the gameplay thoughts at the end, but these are interesting. Those Haunt cards become very interesting because you're probably going to be able to get more cards for the set. However, if you get more cards and you're getting more Haunt cards, you're going to lose a lot of points at the end of the game. So that's something that you need to be aware of. But we'll keep playing through that, and whoever has the most. So let's talk. Whoever has the most points wins. Let's talk about the art and components. With this game, you've got a board and you have a lot of cards, and then you have a few other components. You've got, for the components, you've got these little markers that you're going to be moving around. Those are kind of cool little plastic pieces. You've got your hitchhiking ghost, which are pretty cool. The detail might not show up really well on that. However, maybe it shows up better here. I'm not really sure. But anyway, these are this is pretty cool, especially if you like Disney's Haunted Mansion. You're gonna recognize those hitchhiking ghosts as the ones that end up in your seat at the end of the ride. Spoiler if you've never ridden that. So those are cool. The cardboard pieces are really cool. The mini Haunt cards are little weird. Not weird necessarily, they're just really small. They're a quarter size of normal cards. My frustration there, not as necessarily with the size, I guess it is with the size, because shuffling these is not a lot of fun. You can't shuffle them like normal cards as easily, especially because the stack, if you have all of those, is a pretty big stack of cards. So you're gonna have to, you know, kind of maybe shuffle them like this and just do these different stacks. But that's a kind of a minor complaint. The art, that's what I really want to focus on in this game, because the art in this game is just absolutely beautiful, I think. When you're looking at especially when you're looking at these ghost cards, that's really where it shines. All of the event cards, they look the same. You've seen those, but all of the art on the different cards is so different. So like all these are musician cards, right? They're the same thing. They function the same way, but they all have different art on them, and they're so beautiful. I love that, and I just love that they took the time to add that extra art on there on those ghosts. Same thing for, again, these art and artifacts. Let's see if I can find some more of those. Again, same function, but the art on them is very different, and I really love that. It adds this really cool element to the game. I love it. The art is my favorite part by far about the components of this game. It's some of my favorite art in any game. You've got lots of different cards too. I didn't mention, you know, all the cards and how they play out, but this one's worth 3 points or 13 points if you have the lowest value of your haunt cards at the end of the game. So not only are you going to be gaining a benefit if you have that card from not losing cards, but you also gain an additional 10 points at the end of the game. So anyway, but that's not an art and components thing. That's more of a gameplay thing. But the only ones I can think of, the stretching portraits, not that I don't like the art, I do like the art. The different symbols determine what art you're going to see on there. So I've got these are going to have the same portrait on there, which is, you know, true to the ride as well. And I'm not sure if I mentioned how those work. I don't think I did, but with these, you're going to get 15 points if you have 3 of the same, and then 18 points if you have all the different sets. So this is just 2 of the different symbols that are on there. So there's lots of different types of cards out there as well. So anyway, art and components, big thumbs up for me. Really love that. Now let's get on to the gameplay. All right, overall the gameplay is fairly simple. You're just going to be walking around to these different locations. You're going to be collecting cards, and when you get different sets of those cards, you're going to be getting points at the end of the game. That's just kind of the basic gist of what you're going to be doing, which in and of itself wouldn't necessarily be fun, but the things that are added to this game are really what change how that game plays out. So the first thing is the haunt cards, which I think are really interesting. At first, when you hear the rule and that when you have the most haunt points at the end of the game, that you're going to be the one losing your largest set, that sounds really bad, and it is. Losing that many points is really bad and can often make the difference of first player and the rest of the players that are at the table. But what that does is it adds this really interesting level to the gameplay that you have to make sure that you're not collecting too many haunt points, because again, if you get those haunt points, more than likely it's because you want to be able to gain points, and that's why you're doing it. And so you're going to be gaining a lot of points doing that, but losing your biggest set can be really detrimental. And I think that's really interesting. Now, at first, again, if you're just hearing this, you might think, wow, that's way too punishing. And it is pretty punishing. However, it just means that you have to pay attention to those hauntings. And I just think that's really interesting. Another part that I find really interesting is these little dual dials where you will go head to head with another player, and you're determining how many haunt cards you're going to get in order to take or keep the card that you have. The set collection cards that you have. If you really want to hold on to one, or if you really want to take one from somebody, you might be willing to take more haunt cards, hoping that you can get rid of them later on in the game. I think that's really interesting too, because again, haunt cards are, you know, pretty bad in this game. It can make a big difference. And whether or not you win or lose the game. That being said, if you need to be able to complete a set of those long paintings, which will give you a lot of points, or if you're trying to get those music cards that give you a ton of points, then it might be worth it to take some haunt cards in the hopes that you can get rid of those later on in the game. But I think that's really interesting. Now, I will say some people won't like that, right? If you don't really like meanness in games or high player interaction, you might really not like that. But what you need to know is if you don't mind that as much, or if it's something that you're kind of on the fence about, if you're taking a card from somebody, you need to recognize you're taking a big penalty for that. And so dueling with somebody can be really helpful, but at the same time, it's going to hurt you at the same time. And I like that. I like that it kind of balances that out and makes dueling more interesting than just being mean and taking something from somebody else. Or you can, pretend that you really want a card and then, not really care that much about it and end up sticking somebody with a lot of haunting cards, even though they get a card, but you might not really care about that card. I think all of that's really interesting. But again, if you don't like that much player interaction, that might be something that hurts the game for you. But on to my final thoughts. So let me get to one other part of the gameplay. The different types of set collection cards, I really like those a lot. I think in some games you can, in some set collection games, it's pretty simple. You're just collecting all these different types, different colors or different symbols or whatever, and when you get those, you're going to get points. But this game really changes that up in a good way. You're going to collect, some of those. You're going to get the music cards, for example. When you get the music cards, those will give you a lot of points if you get a lot of those different types of cards. That's fairly simple, and that's kind of normal set collection in games. But then you have ones like these painting cards, and when you get these, you can get 1 for 3 point. Again, I've already gone over this, but 1 for 3 point. But if you get your second one, you're going to get 0 points. If you get your third one, you're going to get 12. Now, it's possible that you can steal somebody's card when they have 3. Let's say you have 2 of these, and another player has 3. You're going to want to duel them out to take that, because that's a huge swing for you to now gain 12 points and for them to have 0. That really adds to the interaction of the game, and also the push your luck element of, okay, I'm going to take this second one in hopes that I can get a third one. That might not happen, and getting 0 points is bad. You would rather have 3 points, obviously. And then other ones that, just will give you points. This one, for example, gives you points, and you discard one of your haunt cards when you take that. Now that adds extra rules and extra layers to the game, which I think is really interesting, because if you know that you can get several of those cards, taking haunt cards won't be as bad. And then there's some, that will just allow you to draw cards. There's lots of different types of cards in this game, which I think is huge. If you're going to have a set collection game, you need to have variability in those cards. This game has that really well. On to my final thoughts. So it's no secret I'm a big Disney fan. The Haunted Mansion ride is one of my favorite rides at Disney World. I love it. I'll do it every time, and I just really have a lot of fun with it. So in playing this game, it's hard for me not to be biased with that, knowing that I'm going to be Disneying out when I play this game, right? I'm going to be geeking out. I'm going to be playing the music in the background, and we're going to be making references when we're playing the game. So that being said, if you're not a Disney fan, I don't think this is a game that you're necessarily going to seek out, but you might not even be watching this video if that was the case. But there are a lot of different Disney games that come out every year, and so some of them need to stand out. This one stands out for me because it has the theme, this ride that I really enjoy. I enjoy set collection. It's got a lot of player interaction. You can play with a lot of different players. It's got a lot of really good things going for it that I like quite a bit. So for me, this one is going to get a 7.5 out of 10, which is pretty high for this type of game. If you're a super heavy gamer, this one might not wow you. But again, if you're looking for a fun family game that really enjoys Disney, this is one of the best ones out there. I've enjoyed this one quite a bit. I have 3 sisters. They have kids. My parents were all big Disney fans, and they're going to love this game. I really look forward to playing this one. And they don't always love every Disney game that comes out, but I do believe that Haunted Mansion is going to be one that they're absolutely going to love. So anyway, that's a 7.5 out of 10 for me. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can go to MeepleTownGames.com. You can also go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's at MeepleTownGames. Or you can reach out to us at Board Game Geek. That's guild number 3407. Until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown. Or should I say, hurry back. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Meepletown Games, and connect with us on the Meepletown Guild, guild number 3407, at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.